Previously on Lost. Hey, Jason, what happened last time on Lost? Can you summarize all of seasons 1 through 4 for us?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there's like a plane crash on an island,
Yeah.
right? And then all these people are trying to survive.
And then Jack made a speech, and he named 2 episodes that were in like season 2, and he's like, live together, die alone, and stuff.
Yeah,
And
that
then-
happened.
And then I was wrong.
Yeah, and one was light and one was dark.
Yeah.
And then you had to push a button every 100 and, what was it? Something minutes? 108 minutes, or the
And
island
then-
would explode. And then electromagnetism.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
You're gonna
cages.
die, Charlie. You're gonna die.
Right, and cages and fish biscuits.
Yes.
Right? And then...
Not Penny's boat.
Not Penny's, but we have to go back!
We have to go back. It's work, man.
Right, yeah. Well, I don't know, that's a pretty good...
Yeah.
That's a pretty good synopsis of that. Oh, and also there was Black Rock
Black Rock. Yeah.
and Arst, and you have some Arst on
Yeah,
you.
some arst on you.
Yes, indeed. So now that we're all caught up, I'm Captain Logan.
And I am Jason.
We are father.
And son.
We're going to talk about the 5th and 6th seasons of Lost today, which is a preposterous notion. We should have done a video on 5. And what ended up happening was we spent a week trying to get together to, I mean, we live in the same house, but we spent a week trying to find the time to sit down and do the show for 5. And there was a lot of stuff going on during the day that week, and it just didn't end up happening. But Jason did not want to stop watching just for the sake of a pesky podcast, so we just kept watching. And after we got like 7 or 8 episodes into season 6, we were like, I guess we'll just talk about them together.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. It's not like we're not going to have a crazy amount of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
5 and 6 are very different seasons. Their focuses are totally different. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. So I don't know how long this video is going to be, and I don't know if we're going to have to break it up into 2.
I think we'll probably just do it. We might need to do it in 2 videos, but I don't know.
It's hard to say. So there could be 6 Lost videos for the 6 seasons, but the last one is talking about 5 and 6 at the same time. We can try to sort of break it up, where we break down 5 a little and break down 6 a little, but I don't want to avoid talking about where it's all going now that you know, Jason. Now that you're familiar with what mysteries get paid off and which ones don't, and what stuff doesn't end up quite lining up, and the most baffling ending in the history of baffling endings.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it.
That
So-
might be my least favorite thing ever in the whole show.
Yeah, a lot of people have that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's bad for the same reason that a lot of people do, because I think a lot of people are wrong about what it was. They were wrong! But we'll talk about all that. So, where do you want to start? I mean, like, I could see us doing this a couple different ways. We could jump all the way to the end and just talk about the finale, and then work our way backwards and talk about, stuff we liked and didn't like in the 2 seasons. Or, we could go ahead and break down 5, and then break down 6.
I want to start with, favorite characters.
Okay, sure.
And least favorite characters.
Like you usually like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're speaking up so people can hear you on the video.
Okay.
Okay, so is that going to be different between the 2 seasons?
Not... Yeah, kind of.
Okay, well, let's just go ahead and get into it, shall we?
Okay, so my favorite characters, we'll just go through this.
Yeah.
Are Faraday
Yeah?
and Juliet.
Interesting.
Season 5.
Okay.
Because I've liked those characters ever since season 3 and 4.
Did you find yourself liking Juliet even more when the LaFleur thing happened?
Yeah.
Like, once she's with Sawyer? Because I think that chemistry is awesome.
Yeah.
They're a really good couple. And the last thing you expected to happen.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's that love triangle with Juliet and Kate and Jack, and you really don't expect... I mean, I think what everybody thought was going to happen And I would assume that this was part of the reason that they made that choice. And maybe they did this somewhat as a gimmick, but it ended up working out partly because of the performances. But I think everybody was supposed to expect Jack and Kate, or Jack and Juliet to get together, and Kate and Sawyer to get together.
But that's not what happened.
Exactly. And you never thought Sawyer and Juliet. And what I thought was really smart about that, too, was there was never a love triangle with them.
No.
Like Juliet and Sawyer were not even on each other's radar. And then it was kind of hilariously that desert island scenario where when they wind up back in the 70s, they're kind of the most compatible two people there amongst this group, and you don't have the Jack and Kate factor anymore. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. I end up liking Juliet a whole lot too. So how sad were you when she starts the atomic bomb? Like, did you have feelings about that, or did you just expect her to survive it, or?
Yeah, well, I was sad that she died, and I was sad that Faraday died.
Because of course you didn't know the Flash Sideways was coming.
Yeah.
So you would have had no way to know that you were going to get her, anymore after that.
Yeah. And we only get her in the end, in the Flash Sideways.
Well, that is true. Yeah. When they make the big reveal that she and Jack were married, and that's where the kid came from. Anyway, we're jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
In season 4, when they time travel back to the 70s, there is this whole thing with an atomic bomb where Faraday says, if you destroy this bomb at the same time as some other thing happens, I forget what it was, then it'll make it to where
when the hatch explodes.
Oh, that's
the first time.
That's what it is. Right. Because of the electromagnetism, those things have to happen simultaneously. And if you blow up this bomb, then it will reset everything to where Flight 815 never crash landed on the island, and it'll start everything over. And what ends up happening is both things are true.
Yeah.
So you end up with two realities.
But yeah. So Faraday and Juliet.
So why do you continue to like Faraday so much?
Well, he's a science guy, and I like science, and he's a good character. Like he.
We say good character. Do you mean like he's a good man?
Yeah, and he's trying to he doesn't know how to speak in front of people, so he stumbles over his words a lot and stuff.
Yep. And they haven't done anything to just make you not like him anymore. Like with Jack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except what?
Except him dying. I don't like that. But.
Sure, but they didn't ruin his character.
Right. And then Sawyer, of course. Sawyer is even better in season 5 than he is in any season. And he's still good in season 6, but I kind of like Flash Sideways Sawyer better than season 6.
Yeah, they turn him and Miles into like a buddy cop show.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's amazing.
No, you're right. He is better in the Flash Sideways there, because in the present day stuff he gets a little buried.
Yeah.
And he does that. He does some fun, kind of like manipulative double crossing stuff. Which he's really good at, of course, where he is trying to make the Smoke Monster think that he's with the Smoke Monster.
Yeah.
And all of that, but that's toward the end.
And they had to do that scene where he drops the suitcase with the money in it again.
Yeah, we've seen that 3 times now.
We've seen that 3 or 4 times.
But it was a totally different context, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because that was an undercover thing. That was how they let you know that in the Flash Sideways he's a cop. So he's an undercover cop pretending to be a con artist because he's so good at being a con artist.
Yeah.
And deep down he's still the same guy. And I love that, again, we're jumping around, I love that Flash Sideways Sawyer is still the same person, and he just goes a different way and tries to be, work legit. But man, when he thinks he's got a bead on the man who killed his family, he gets that look on his face like he always had before. You know, that kind of, you know, revenge look.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the same guy.
Let's see.
That man who is, of course, Locke's father, who in the other universe did not try to kill Locke. And did they ever explain what? Because I can't remember what it was. Didn't they explain what happened to him? Where like he's catatonic now, like
yeah.
he can't speak or anything.
Because the plane crashed. Locke was flying a plane and
That's right.
It crashed 2 feet off the ground.
I keep forgetting about that. Yeah.
And yeah.
So I guess they had a good relationship in the Flash Sideways.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I also really like the Smoke Monster in 6.
Do you?
Yeah. I didn't realize the Smoke Monster would become a character.
Yeah.
And have feelings. and yeah. Locke is a monster.
Locke is a monster. So I spent a lot of 5 waiting for you to figure out who Locke was. Yeah. Because so just to remind everybody, when toward the beginning to middle of season 5, when we're in the Flash forwards, we see Ben kill Locke and make it look like a suicide. Locke's about to kill himself anyway, and then Ben goes ahead and kills him. I've never understood. Well, okay. On first viewing, I was always like, why didn't he just let him kill himself? Like, he was right there. He was about to get. But I guess he needed that information about Eloise Hawking. Mm-hmm. Is that what it was? So that he gets that information, and then he goes ahead and kills him? So he, like, convinces him not to kill himself, and then he kills himself. So that I don't know. It's still an awkward scene. Anyway, so he kills Locke, and then back on the island, there's Locke. And we're like, oh man, how's he back from the dead? And they keep kind of telegraphing, nobody is supposed to be able to come back from the dead. Dead is dead. That's not possible. And of course, the show comes up with loopholes to bring back actors all the time. But one thing I will give it, nobody ever actually comes back from the dead in this show.
Yeah.
We have an alternate universe where they all survive.
Right.
And we bring back Terry O'Quinn to be the Smoke Monster, but we don't actually resurrect Locke. And because you called what was going on with the dead people walking around on the island so early, I thought you'd figure it out, because he is a dead person. Like, Locke is dead, and we have a dead Locke walking around. But was it because they didn't play it as mysterious? Was it because he was interacting with everybody the way he was?
Yeah.
That it just... Because when I first watched it, I didn't get that either, but I didn't call the Smoke Monster thing as early as you did. Or ever, I don't think. I mean, like, you got that... Middle of season 2, and we talked about this before, middle of season 2, Jason goes, okay, there's a shapeshifter. And there's all these dead people around the island. Somebody's pretending to be all these people. They can't actually be ghosts, because there were good reasons to suspect that it was more than ghosts.
And then I call it, it's the Smoke Monster.
He goes, maybe it's the Smoke Monster, and then it turns out it is the Smoke Monster. But it took you forever to figure out that Locke was the Smoke Monster. But you like that reveal?
Mm-hmm.
He's frustrating to me just because his plan is so convoluted, but that's true of a lot of things by the end of the series.
Everything is convoluted by the end of the series.
Yeah, but we'll get into all that.
Yeah.
So, do you like the Smoke Monster just because it's a fun idea that he's a shapeshifter?
Yeah, and also
performance.
Yeah, I like.
Terry O'Quinn's having a lot of fun being the bad guy.
I like his performance better than Locke. I like this Smoke Monster Locke better than Locke, because I think Terry O'Quinn does a better performance as Smoke Monster.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it fun just watching him like be unpredictable and not being sure like when he's gonna kill somebody or
and he
try
can't
to use
kill
them
anyone.
or he can't as the Smoke Monster.
Right.
Well, no, yeah, he can. He can kill people. He just can't kill Jacob.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping him from just pulling out a knife and murdering someone. I'm pretty sure he does that.
Yeah.
But he just can't kill Jacob.
Oh, yeah.
I think just because their stepmother, adopted mother, not stepmother, they're adopted only in that she murdered their real mother and then stole the children, said that he couldn't, and I guess she has some sort of, I don't know what any of that
but here's
means.
the thing.
Yeah.
The smoke monster isn't the Man in Black.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it is. It is and it isn't. No, you're
The Man
right.
in Black dies, and then the smoke monster regains his. Like, that's the smoke monster's. The Man in Black is the smoke monster's regular form.
But isn't it still the thing that the mom said that is the reason the smoke monster... You're right, thanks for the distinction, because that's true. But isn't that still the reason that the smoke monster can't kill Jacob? Is because she was like, you can't hurt each other?
I don't know. I don't. I mean, we don't say any other reason, so... But
The rules seem really arbitrary?
They didn't think of some things.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that just feels real amorphous, and kind of, this is the rule because we just said it was, and then sometimes later on we'll even kind of retcon things a little bit. I know I'm jumping way ahead. I still think it's really weird, I'll say this now in case I don't get another place, that for a while, because there's this big question as to what exactly the smoke monster is trying to do. We know he wants to get off the island, but what else is it? Is there anything beyond that? And then it turns out he wants to destroy the island and then leave it so that he never has to come back to it. And then right after that, the word destroy means bury the island underwater. And I guess you could make the argument that that counts because nobody can use the island, so it might as well be destroy. It's so Saturday morning cartoon, by the way the show sometimes uses the word destroy. Every other time the word destroy is used in the show, something explodes. So they make you think that, because remember, the island moves. Like, they make you think that this time, for all time, there will be no island. We're just going to bury it underwater. Okay. It really watches, like, episode to episode. They're plotting and have not decided how he's going to handle it. Well, he's going to destroy it, and we'll figure out how later. 2 episodes later. Bury it underwater? Sink it? Okay, why didn't we say that in the first place? Because we didn't think of it until just now. Okay. Like, there's a lot of that. That's just one of many examples.
And also the thing, like, they retcon the whole thing with Jacob. Like,
what about it?
Like, that episode, or that show could have ended in 2 episodes. But they didn't think of Jacob until season 3. And they didn't even know what he was in season 3 until season 4.
What's Jacob and the Smoke Monster doing through all those seasons? Well, we know what they're doing. They're just messing around with people.
Yeah.
You know, but, let's go ahead and get into this. So, at the end of the day, all that this thing is really about, with the mysteries and with Jacob and the Man in Black and all of that, is there's a light in the center of the island.
Yeah.
That is really powerful and gives Jacob his superpowers. Mm-hmm. It's basically a Fountain of Youth story. And it's really funny that this entire thing turns into a Fountain of Youth story, and people, Star Trek fans forever said, like a Fountain of Youth story is boring, we don't want that, stop trying to make those. And that's part of why Star Trek V kind of fell flat and didn't work, because it was, or rather, Insurrection. Star Trek V was almost a Fountain of Youth story, is what I was going to say. You have the, Find God story or Fountain of Youth story. It was what Shatner always wanted to do with a Star Trek movie, right? Mm-hmm. And then this show is both.
Yeah.
Kind of. So anyway, there is a light. The answer to everything is a light.
There's also killing computers in the show.
Oh, that's true. Like in Star Trek. Yeah, that's true. But it's all about the smoke monster trying to finally get off the island, and Jacob protecting the light so that nobody can get to it and destroy it. And I don't know what exactly is supposed to happen if you destroy the light beyond destroying the island, but there's dialogue here and there about it, messing up everything. Is it supposed to be the source of life or something, as we know it? It seems to be it seems like the island is really important to the world itself somehow. Maybe? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But, like, the island's really important and somebody has to protect it. And that's what Jacob is doing. And Jacob goes all the way back to antiquity. He's speaking Latin at the beginning. It's like it's like Roman times. Mm. And this whole time since he acts like it's your classic like hero creates the villain story where he accidentally creates the smoke monster.
Yep.
By dropping him into the heart of the island.
Well, he doesn't. Well, yeah, he accidentally did it, but he purposely did it, but not knowing what it would do.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, he was trying to kill the Man in Black, but he didn't know that it was going to create those smoke monsters. Is what I'm saying. So then you end up with kind of a Jesus versus the devil sort of scenario. And you have, going all the way to, the imagery is really obvious, going all the way to the devil gets someone else to kill Jesus, and then Jesus comes back to tell his disciples what to do. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the allegory is very obvious to the point where it's almost not an allegory. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
So that's all it was about the whole time, is there's this creature that wants to leave the island and destroy it. And there's a good guy that wants to stop that from happening. And he needs a candidate to take his place because for some reason he can't do it anymore.
Because he died.
But he
needed a candidate for when he died.
But did he know he was going to die? Because the timing of that is pretty convenient, right? It's like, why does the smoke monster kill him when he kills him? So
he knew the end was near.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. So I've never understood this. So he brings in all these candidates, and he's, I guess, testing them with the island. He's letting the island test them to see, what is in their heart, I guess, to see, what their character is. And which one is going to be the right one to pick. And he's taking a sweet time about it. Like, he hasn't picked somebody yet by the time he gets killed. And you'd think, few seasons of this show, maybe he'd be ready to go ahead and land on someone?
Yeah, he picked someone at the end of season 6.
Yeah, he picked somebody after he's died already.
Yeah. And he died at the end, at, like, the beginning of season 6. Or at the end of season 5.
And it's also very convenient to me that the smoke monster goes and finds somebody to kill him after we finally decided to cast Jacob and have him walking around. Because he's not been around all these seasons, and you never see him, we just talk about him. That cabin thing makes no sense.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on with that.
What is going... Yeah.
Like, it was shaking, I don't know why. I don't think we ever decided whether that was really smoke and mirrors. Why does the cabin move around? Why is it there sometimes, but not there other times? Like, there's supposed to be this big question as to whether or not Jacob even exists, and then they treat him later like he's an urban legend for some of the people on the island in previous decades, and some people even worship him and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there is a Jacob, and he's real and corporeal, and he walks around. He just chooses not to be seen by most people. And I don't know why exactly that is. Like, I don't know if he's afraid that if he gets seen, somebody will be able to somehow, because of that, find the source, or not the source, that's the Matrix. Find the light or whatever. Like, I just, none of that adds up to me.
Yeah. So should we do least favorite characters?
Do you have them? Do you have least favorite characters,
Yeah,
Jason?
I have two least favorite characters.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Widmore.
No.
Well, he ends up being a lot less exciting than they were building him up to be.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't even think of him at all.
Let me think for a second. Who else might you throw in there? What is her name? The girl with the glasses that pretends to be on a plane?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
All right, who'd you put down?
Jack.
I don't understand Jack by the last probably 3 seasons of this show.
Once the cages happen, he's not a character anymore.
I tend to agree with that. Yeah, he gets kind of awful and just undefined.
And we don't know, like he doesn't, like, really... I don't like the way he talks. He's always like, then why did you do this? or he's like, why? or something like that. Like, he always pauses or laughs before he says something. Just say the thing, and then he's like, when he says stuff. And
I don't feel like there's a natural progression with Jack. At some point, we keep treating him artificially like he's de facto the main character. I mean, it is an ensemble cast show, but it still treats him like he's the guy, right? And it seems like they're trying to...
the obvious choice.
Yes, and it's like they're trying... And they say that for the candidate, right? Mm. And it's like they're trying to... just subvert our expectations with him, where when you get to the end of the series, he'll be the candidate, but actually not really, and then he's just a vessel to go on to Hurley and have Hurley do the real job. It's
and have Jack dying while going.
Well, no, he's not dying during that. That's after that. He actually dies in a field.
He dies the same way he opens his eyes at the beginning of the show. But still.
Because the whole thing must be coherent and tightly woven if it ends on a bookend.
Yeah. And I thought that looked pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's a good choice. I mean, I don't hate the image that we end on, certainly. But anyway, before all of that, though, what it kind of reads to me like is Jack ends up almost being a plot device to serve Locke, weirdly. Where it's like, he's there to be the yin to Locke's yang, whatever we're doing with Locke during a period. Because I think Locke's arc is... And it's got its own missteps, but I think it is a lot more organic than Jack's. And that makes me feel like we just keep kind of tweaking Jack and turning him on a dime whenever we need to, depending on what Locke is doing. So it's like, once Locke dies, we turn like a light switch in Jack where he becomes the new Locke. For really no other reason except we don't have Locke anymore and we want an opposite for the Smoke Monster. So it used to be Man of Faith versus Man of Science. And it used to be guy who wants fate to tell him what to do versus guy who wants his own sense of choice and free will. And then we flip that, but I think we flip it kind of artificially. And I like the idea of flipping it potentially, but I just don't feel like we naturally really get there.
Yeah, we kind of get there by, end of season 5, just before Locke dies, we get there.
Well, and there's some cool paralleling and mirroring I kind of like there, where Jack kind of does the same thing that Locke did, but for different reasons with the Hatch. Where Locke with the Hatch is like, I'm sure that that we're doing the right thing. The island has led me here. It's told me to do this. We have to, keep pushing the button. And well, at first we gotta put, then it's don't push the button, and then I was wrong, right? That whole thing.
Yeah.
And then
Locke
does kind of the same thing with, well, because obviously he has a shattering disillusionment, so I guess he turns into Jack at that point. So whatever. But then Jack does the same thing with the bomb, where he's like, I believe wholeheartedly that if we destroy this, that if we set off this bomb, we'll reset everything and the plane will never land. And then he was wrong. He is in that whole place. And so then he becomes more of kind of the man of faith after that, to some degree. I mean, yeah, he shatters the mirrors in the lighthouse and stuff, but then after that, through about half a 6, he seems to be, buying more into the, fate of the island stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really don't understand his character after a certain point, and he's just unlikable for kind of no good reason.
Yeah.
Much of the time.
Yeah.
Um.
And he's kind of a boring character.
You think?
Like, yeah. And then, believe it or not,
Yeah.
Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah.
My other least favorite character, and this is only for season 6, is Saeed.
Interesting.
I do not like Saeed once he turns evil. We do
Well,
nothing
he's
with
practically a
that.
different character at that point, but you're right, we do, I mean, it's pointless. We do nothing with it.
And
A lot of dropped threads at the end of the show.
and he's just basically not there for half the season, even though he dies and he's there, but he...
Oh, you know what? I said we don't resurrect anybody. We kind of resurrect Saeed, but they treat it like he sort of kind of came back without a soul or something. They try to give it, they to put it in Buffy terms, they try to give it real consequences where it's like you're not supposed to come back. So they do that whole thing. But then at the end of the day, I think he's, I don't know, is he the same person or not? I guess it's hard to say. I guess I don't care because they don't do anything with it, like you said.
Yeah, he's just he gets nothing to do except kill Desmond, which he doesn't do, and yeah. So should we go
Oh yeah, I
to
forgot about that.
good things and bad things?
Let's do it.
Okay, so
We've already gone over some.
my favorite thing in this whole show is the time travel. I love the
Really?
thing with like 70s and LaFleur and all that stuff. We go back to when
We go back to the Black Rock with Rousseau.
with Rousseau, yeah.
They do a bunch of time. Did you like all the time jumping that we did before we got to LaFleur?
Yeah.
Where we see like Claire delivering her baby again, and the Rousseau thing, and we go to I don't know. There's a couple other time periods.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like that. Because it's just like I don't know, like I think it might just be Sawyer's great, but
Yeah.
Sawyer was always my favorite character. He's really
He
good.
just fits in so well in that time period.
Yeah.
And you get to see him finally take the leadership role. And my favorite thing about that is, look how much better he is at it than Jack. And, like, if only he had been at a different headspace in a different place in his life when they crashed on the island, they might have actually done a lot better than they did under Jack's leadership.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about Sawyer. Sawyer doesn't have the same kinds of insecurities that both Jack and Locke have. Those guys are very, like, self-centered and into their own little worlds, right? They are obsessed with being special, both Jack and Locke, in different ways. One of them wants, like I said, fate to tell them that they're special. They want to find out that the world needs them. And don't tell me what I can't do. I can do anything, and I am special. And the other one in Jack has a hero complex where he wants to save everyone, but not for their own sake, more so for his own.
Yeah.
And it's he's not looking, initially anyway, he's not looking for the world to tell him what he's supposed to be. He wants and in some ways they want the same things, but there's subtle differences where he wants through his own sheer will to be able to prove to the world that he can fix everything. And Sawyer's not like that. And all of this comes from childhood traumas, by the way. And with Sawyer's, the childhood trauma is I didn't have, and all of it is lack of guidance, certainly, but it's I didn't have my family, and it was taken away from me, and the only way I knew how to cope was to become the person who took my family. And once that guy, and I also think that there's like maybe a little bit of a sense of like guilt and blame where like he's, I don't know if I'm right about this, but when you become the person that took your family, I assume there's got to be some bit of guilt there where, like, you're blaming yourself for that happening in the first place. He puts himself in those shoes and he becomes that. And once he can get over that, he does put other people first, and is able to is able to think about the greater good. At the end of the day, weirdly, Sawyer ends up being a better person than Jack Orlok.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost that Batman thing, right? Where it's like he's thinking about the innocent, tragic little children.
Yeah.
that he doesn't want that to happen to anybody else. And so seeing him run, I always remembered it as he runs the Dharma Initiative. He doesn't run the whole Dharma Initiative.
No.
He runs the security at the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah.
I remember that being more of that season.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of impressive how much they get done in a few episodes, but there's also a part of me that wishes that there was more of it. Because, I don't know, so my favorite episode that season, and I don't know the name of it, I'd have to pull it up, but maybe it is LaFleur, but it's...
Yeah. That's my favorite episode
It's
of the
absolutely that, what is it, like the 7th or 8th episode of that season? Where,
yeah.
in one episode, they go back to the 70s, they insert themselves, him and Miles and Juliet and a few other people, insert themselves into the Dharma Initiative. And the flash forwards and present day stuff that gets wacky at that point because we're in the 70s. The flashbacks and flash forwards, for lack of a better way of putting it, are both about Sawyer in that time period. We get to see him acting as two different versions of that character, which is awesome. So we see him become that and the aftermath of it all in one episode.
Yeah, and I really like how he, can switch between, you see him in this year, and then you see him 3 years later.
Yeah, and he feels like he's been through, 3 years of being that leader, having a more stable situation, having a family now, getting together with Juliet.
Yeah.
All the confidence that he's gained. And I like that, again, that guy becomes a cop in the Flash Sideways.
Yeah.
Because of course he does, right? Like, that's essentially what he's doing in the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah.
He's being a cop.
So this is what I don't get.
He's the sheriff of the town.
Yeah. Why is his name LaFleur, but no one else's name is changed?
Because he is all about aliases. I mean, I guess he could have just gone by Ford. LaFleur probably means something. I haven't looked that up. They use, of course, a lot of famous philosopher names and things. You have Rousseau, you have Locke. I don't know if LaFleur is one of those or if it's something else. I didn't look that up. Hawking is obvious. She's a scientist, so she's got to have Stephen Hawking's last name.
Yeah.
They do a lot of kind of allegory and I don't know, just bringing in ideas through characters by naming them things, where it's like when you name a guy John Locke, we have to think about his philosophy versus the real John Locke who actually lived. So they do a lot of that. I don't know if LaFleur is one of those, but
yeah,
I'd have to look that up.
But
I like that he's not calling himself Sawyer then, because he's not that guy anymore.
Yeah.
And he's never been comfortable with his real name. Maybe that's the answer. He's not going to be Sawyer because he's not Sawyer anymore. But for an identity thing, he is not James Ford. He doesn't know who that person is. He has to reinvent himself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question.
And then I really like, we've talked about this a lot, but we can talk about this some more.
Yeah.
So, it depends. So, I like the Flash Sideways sometimes. And sometimes it's very, really convoluted and weird. I like how, they go back to first season and do all that stuff again, but differently. But
Yeah.
I don't get that whole thing with, why is Desmond killing everyone?
Where was it all going?
Like, yeah. Except a church.
That turns out to be like a purgatory? It's like an afterlife thing?
Yeah.
We'll talk about all that.
We'll talk about that, definitely.
Since we didn't start with it, we should end with it.
Yeah,
No, it's fun to watch in the moment. I have questions about it even at the beginning of the season, though. When you get to the Flash Sideways, you would think that it would be sort of like a Star Trek 09 thing where you have a branching off point, where it's like, the only thing that's different is the plane didn't crash. But that's not what they did. So you'd think that, because the idea was supposed to be, if we blow up this atomic bomb, we'll reset everything to where the plane never crashed. It just got to where, and we're even told that it gets. I forget who has the line. It was like it would get. Is it Jack or not? That Jack would know,
Faraday,
but
probably.
Jack or Faraday, or whoever it is, the plane will just pass over that point. It won't get hit with the electromagnetic field. It will land in LAX, and everybody will be fine. Mm-hmm. And so when it creates the new universe, and we have our cake and eat it too. Again, the idea is he was right and wrong. It didn't start everything over for our characters. They continue to move on. Juliet really did die, and we're still in the 70s for a little bit. But or no, they immediately. I guess that is that the thing that propelled us back to present day. Was that bomb that sends us to present day? I forget.
I think.
And then also you have this alternate universe that creates, so both things are true. Mm-hmm. The problem is, it didn't just create a universe where the plane didn't land. There were all kinds of things that were different already in that universe. And I don't know why or what the point of it was. And at first I thought the point was, at least thematically, in this universe, everybody gets more or less what they want. And they're not as tragic and they make better choices. Some of them do and some of them don't. Like, Charlie doesn't make better choices. He's actually in, I think, maybe even a worse state than he was in the other universe, it seems like. And then, right? But then, Hurley, the numbers aren't a curse. And he's got this great company, and he's a really happy guy, and he's got a lot of confidence. And so it's like he's getting rewarded for being such a good person now. But then some characters have it really well, and other characters, their lives are still kind of crappy and messed up. And that seems totally arbitrary. I don't know what the point was of that. But like, why is everything so different in the Flash Sideways? Why did it change everything before, or so much stuff before the crash? Like, it didn't change much with Jack. His father still dies.
Yeah.
Like, that's all still the same. But then we'll find out as the season progresses that all of the change goes even way farther back than that, and that all of these characters were interconnected for no reason other than the show wanted to bring back every actor that would come back that was ever on the show. It feels like to me. So, like, he was married to Juliet in the Flash Sideways, and they had a son together. Mm-hmm. And yeah, unless the idea is supposed to be that whole reality all along was the afterlife, was the purgatory. And that after a while they all just have to be reminded about their real lives and then figure out that they're in a purgatory or heaven or however you want to think of it. But it wouldn't be heaven for some of them, so I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't know, like, what is even going on. Like, well, and yeah, we'll talk about that at the end, and there might be a second part, so.
I think we can do this in one.
Okay. There's a lot more we have to talk about.
Okay, alright, go ahead.
Okay, the temple stuff.
Oh, sure.
It's the thing that Sayid is good in 6. It's the stuff that I like about Sayid in 6.
And then he
where
dies.
He's not boring, and then he dies, and then he comes back, and then he's boring, and he doesn't get anything to do.
Yeah. I think the temple stuff kind of just sits there.
Yeah, it's kind of boring, but I like the stuff with like the crazy guy who
Who doesn't like speaking English?
Yeah, and then does speak English later for some reason. Yeah. Yeah, there's not much to talk about.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned it, because that is a major part of the beginning of that season. That's where Ben kills Jacob.
Yeah.
Where the smoke monster sends him in because he can't do it, and he
Sorry,
can.
I had to see me like that.
He can. Right. Sorry, you had to see me like that. And he convinces him. He convinces Ben to go in and murder Jacob. And he does it, and then Ben regrets it after that. And I also, by the way, I don't really understand Ben through a lot of that season. It's sort of like just he is supposed to be the manipulator, so you never know what he's going to do. And I'm not sure if we decide what his motivations are for some of the things he does. Like, toward the end, he sides with the smoke monster, and he does some pretty horrible things. He kills somebody over that. I forget who. Was it the girl with glasses? I can't remember. He murders somebody.
He kills,
It was somebody connected to Widmore. Although he also hates Widmore, so he might have just killed people related to Widmore regardless.
And then he's like, so there's more people to kill, right?
Yeah, like he just...
Like,
that's all he wants to do.
Yeah.
He's just excited about murdering.
Yeah.
But when he sides with the smoke monster definitively, I found myself going, okay, is he gonna double cross the smoke? Like, what do you think? Was he always like with the smoke monster, or was he looking for a place like he often does to double cross him? To do like the idea was always supposed to be Ben is on Ben's side, but like, was he looking for a way to get away from the smoke monster? Like Sawyer was, or
he was trying to he was with the smoke monster for a little bit, and then he didn't want. I don't know. I think he double crossed him, but it's so
or does it just not really matter when you get to the end?
It doesn't at all. He just sides with Hurley, and then that's it. You know.
And then everybody seems to just sort of forget all the horrible things Ben ever did.
Yeah.
And I get forgiveness, but that was just weird because I don't know. I think certain people are almost too affectionate to Ben toward the end, where it's like, well, you're the audience's favorite character, so we like you too. There's a lot of that stuff by the end of the show. By the way, did you pick up on this? Where it feels like there are decisions that are made or things are being talked about the way they are because they're thinking too much about the fandom, where it's like. It's like too much about the popularity of the show before it's just internal logic of the show.
Yeah.
So they'll almost make fun of themselves for certain cliches and tropes and things. Where it's like, oh yeah, Jack has to do this thing because Jack always does that thing, and you're like, yeah, this is starting to get almost fourth wall breaking.
Yeah. Okay, so bad things.
Yeah. We've already talked about quite a few.
Yeah, so I already complained about Juliet and Faraday dying. Because, I mean, I get how, why they died, and it was a good choice, but,
But they were some of your favorite characters.
Yeah.
Well, you felt that way about Libby.
Yeah.
Going way back. I mean, you've had this with other characters, too, where you're
and Charlie, and...
Mm-hmm. Well, how did you feel about Sun and Jin?
Yeah,
when you were watching that, I got the feeling that you didn't really have feelings about that.
No, I was sad about that too, but I forgot to write that down. I was thinking about it just as I was talking about.
I was wondering if the show had lost you at that point, to the point where you're like, okay, so they kill off these characters, but I don't really even care that much anymore. I wasn't sure where you were with that.
I mean... And
it's so close to the end that you never... I don't feel like... or at least I didn't ever really feel their death all that much because... it's so close to the end of the show that we see them again pretty quick.
Yeah. So...
But it made you sad.
Yeah, it made me a little bit sad.
Can I ask you this? Any part in these two seasons, especially toward the end, where you found yourself actually tearing up? Did that ever happen?
No, I don't think.
Did you ever get really moved? Do you have that? You ever cried watching something?
Yeah.
Okay, so that can happen. Have you ever cried watching this show?
Well.
I mean, at all, anywhere in it.
I think I have, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't find yourself anywhere like in the finale or anything like really moved by something?
Yeah. I don't remember.
To at least move 2 tiers? Okay. So anyway, what are we talking about right now? Bad stuff? Bad stuff.
Yeah. And then last thing to talk about with bad things. And then we'll get to least favorite episodes and favorite episodes. And then we'll do my last bad thing. Because we have to talk about that at the end.
So you want to do just a whole discussion on the last 10 minutes, basically, right?
Yeah. So,
oh, and would you also, in case I forget, we should also probably mention that 11-minute short that they tacked on
yeah.
on the box set that I didn't know about. I had to go find it.
Yeah. So, my other bad thing is Claire becomes a crazy person.
Crazy person.
And kills everyone. And at the end, even, like, tells everyone that she's a crazy person.
And then Kate goes, "No, come raise your son. Then come off the island with me, Claire.
That's
you gotta.
Such a
your son needs you."
She tried to kill you.
And we saw her murder people.
And yeah,
right?
and we saw Claire try to kill, like, Kate, because, yeah.
Do you feel like there are parts of this show, even though it's playing itself like a real tight mystery show, where it's like everything, and like I've seen things do this way worse, like Picard had this, but it was like 19 times worse. This, it's like, we simultaneously want you to think that everything has been leading to wherever it's going, and that everything matters, and that you should be paying close attention to everything. We also hope that if it's been a few episodes, or especially a couple seasons, that if we don't want to deal with it anymore, you conveniently won't remember it. And there's a lot of that in the show. I don't know if they're kind of banking that we will forget toward the end that when shortly after we first met Crazy Claire, she murdered that guy she was torturing in the camp.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just too far gone.
Yeah.
And I get doing some kind of redemptive thing with her, but not letting her go back off the island and raise her kid, that's nuts. Like, I think she's saying she's crazy at the end, but she's no longer the type of crazy she was earlier, just because they've decided she's not.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Like, I feel like she's got a real psychosis that they kind of just...
forgot.
They just kind of wipe under the mat.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you brought her up. Yeah, I don't like how that was handled at all.
Okay, favorite episodes and least favorite episodes.
Do it.
So, we already talked about this a lot. My favorite episode for season 5 is LaFleur.
Probably top 5 episodes of the series.
Yeah, probably. And then
It's killer.
my least favorite episode for season 5 is the life and death of Jeremy Bentham.
Oh, really?
Because it's so boring, and it's just him crawling on the desert for like 10 minutes.
What, Ben?
No,
Or Locke?
Locke. And
Oh,
then,
yes, yeah, I know what you're talking
and
about.
then the whole stuff, like, I guess
That's
Ben,
where the suicide happens, right?
And then, yeah, I guess Ben killing Locke is cool, but it's not really, but, like, it's just, yeah. And I
hear
forgot
you.
that happened in 5. I thought that happened in, like, 4 and
So
stuff.
here's the thing. Let me mention this. I was so excited to show you 4 because I thought the flash forwards would blow your mind. We have to go back and you're like, oh my god, it's Kate at the end of season 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it did. And it was a lot of fun to watch you watch that. But I was thought of 4 as one of my favorite seasons of this show because of the flash forwards. But the best stuff with the flash forwards actually happened in 5. Because we continue doing them for the first, like, 5 or 6 episodes of 5.
Yeah,
When the Oceanic 6 is coming back and Ben is going around getting them all together.
Mm-hmm.
Which also, can we mention this right now? That question that you and I were talking about the other day, why is it important that everyone who left all comes back together, especially if they don't all come back together, but then there's no consequences to that, as far as I can tell?
Like, what?
And then they did the same thing at the end of the show, too.
Yeah.
They all have to leave. Although, does that not matter because the smoke monster's not with them? Because the smoke monster wants to leave, but for some reason, and I don't understand these arbitrary rules, he can't leave unless
everyone else comes with him that was on the out in the first place, but
like, what does that mean, though? Like, does it have to be of all the candidates, or does it have to be, because he's like, it has to be all of them. Somebody was like, well, what if we can't get them all? No, it has to be all of them. Okay, all of who, though? We've killed people. Like,
yeah,
I don't.
Lots of people.
I'm very confused on that point. I don't know who, because he was like, we need Jin and Sun together. Wasn't that a thing where, like, they were trying to get them both?
Yeah.
And, yeah, so anyway, again, it's a moot point at the end of the day because he doesn't actually get off the island. Also, anybody else wondering what the smoke monster would have done with his life off the island? Does he open a casino?
I don't know.
Does he just become a wraith that, like, because we changed what the smoke monster is, right? Pretty clearly. I mean, we decide, like, it could have always been a person that turned into a smoke monster. Like, that's not really the problem. But the initial idea at first is it's punishing people for being horrible people. That was very clearly what it was.
He is a horrible person.
He is evil.
Yeah.
And if you go back and look at all the people that he decides to kill, you cannot track that, I don't think, as his motivation was always getting off the island. Like, that does not track. He's got like a penance there, like a Ghost Rider penance there, where he comes up to a person and it's like he looks through your soul, trying to decide, if you're worthy of staying alive.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot track that to go, the real thing he was doing was seeing if that person would help him get off the island.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then my favorite episode for season 6
is the finale, right?
No, that's my least favorite episode of season 6.
Whoa, I can't wait to get into that. Wow. Is it really?
Well, the end part too.
Because of the last 5 minutes,
yeah.
Right?
My favorite episode is actually Dr. Linus.
It's awesome. That's a great
Yeah.
episode. I agree with you. I think that's probably my favorite episode of 6 as well.
Because, I really like, whatever her name is.
Alex?
Alex, yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing is really good.
And I really like Ben in that episode for some reason.
That dilemma is cool because it's such a personal, smaller, intimate kind of dilemma.
Yeah.
And he uses the whole idea. We won't get deep into this, but they don't have enough of those kinds of character episodes, may I say, in the later seasons because it's way too plot driven. And even though you'll hear Lindelof in interviews make a big deal out of how the point was never the mysteries, they sure make it feel like, especially in the last 3 seasons or so, it's all about the mysteries. And I think that there's a lot of characterization that's lost, and some of what's there is superficial, and they pretend like it's deeper and more character-driven than it is.
Yeah.
But that episode is a legitimate season 1 or 2, like, character show. And it's Ben Linus trying to help Alex get into a college. And, am I remembering that right? And she needs, like, a letter of recommendation, and...
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
He gets into a feud with the principal, and the principal tries to use Alex's leverage, because he's trying to get the principal's job. That's what it is. Yeah. All the faculty hates the principal. He's awful. He's not quite like Principal Snyder from Buffy, but he's awful.
Yeah.
And he's trying to become administration, and he realizes that, I can't remember what it is, but he gets something on the principal, and he's going to be able to get him fired because of this damning information he found, right? Do you remember what it was? What he found out about the principal?
Oh,
Was he sleeping with a student, or no? It wasn't.
He was he was like sleeping with someone or something.
Is that what it was?
I think it was cause he finds it out with Alex. Alex tells him.
That's what it is.
But I forget who it is.
I remember that now. Because she was like, oh, gross. Yeah, I remember that now. Anyway, and so he's got leverage on him, and now it's Ben Linus using his manipulative skills to get what he wants. So he's the same character, but his heart's in the right place. He's doing it for the right reasons, but he's still got that ends justifies the means thing. And in a twisted way, the Ben Linus in the Rayler universe is supposed to be the same thing, where he thinks he's doing something good, kind of, except
for his own good.
Except that gets really convoluted, and at some point I can't always tell what his motivations are. Anyway, but then the principal is able to turn it around on him, and he's going to keep her from getting into that college if Ben does what he's about to do to him. And it's a really good dilemma. No, that's a great episode.
Yeah. Oh, and also, season 6, like, it feels like a different show. Like, it...
In a good way or a bad way?
In a good way. Like, it's like, directed differently.
You think?
Like, it feels like, a show... It feels like it's a show from the early 2010s.
Oh, that's an interesting observation.
Yeah. Like, just from the first episode, like, they zoom in a lot, they, like, move the camera around, and all the time, in places that are not needed, but it looks kind of cool.
I don't disagree with that. So you're saying that, like, a lot of shows that are on a long time, it has kind of an evolution in the look of it to some degree? Because I think it's trying really hard to look consistent, but I think you're right. I think by the end there are places where it can't help but be a more modern show. You know what I thought you were going to say? I think you were going to say, it looks like an early 2010 show because it starts using a lot more CG and it's all really bad.
It's not all really bad.
Oh, most of it is, man. Do you remember that thing where we see the statue under the water for the first time, and they shoot through the water with the CG? It's awful. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And then there's some stuff with the airplane toward the end of the season.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. When Lapidus is flying the airplane.
Is the smoke monster CG?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was like...
Then they went out there with a smoke machine, Jason, and they, pressed a button.
No,
And then they shot smoke out, and then people just, blew in different directions to make it move around.
No, I thought it was like I thought it was like stop motion or something.
Nope. It's CG.
Okay.
Stop motion smoke. I don't even know what that would be. Like, what would you use? I'm trying to think.
Clay.
Yeah. Clay smokemation. Yeah.
Yeah. It would have so many different faces, like Jack, Skellington, not the Doctor.
A lot of Jacks in things. Okay, yeah. So what else did we need to talk about? We're getting there, folks.
The ending.
Is that where we're at?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That last episode should have been called The Church. Okay, so lead us into this. How does this show end?
So basically, let's just start with the whole Jack thing trying to save Desmond.
Okay, sure.
So Jack tries to save Desmond.
Sorry. Before you get to that, you gotta talk about, or is this after that? You gotta talk about the cliffhanger because it's hilarious. Between the end part 1 and 2, the jump.
Oh yes. Don't
forget about that.
So yes. No, that's not after that. That is at the end part 2.
You gotta talk about that.
That part is between the two. So
yep.
At the end of the end,
it was a samurai movie.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
At the end of the end part 1, at the end of the end of the end of the end.
Is the beginning.
But anyway, so the end of the end part 1. Right before it goes lost, like it always does, and it's like, and it's like lost. And so Jack is fighting the smoke monster.
And remember, the smoke monster's not a smoke monster anymore. He's lost his powers.
Yeah, he's lost his powers. He can, like, if someone punches him, he'd, like, lose his blood and stuff.
Yeah. Does he not bleed?
Do you bleed? Yeah.
You will, you smoke monster.
Will. So he jumps, and he has his fist up in the air, and he's like, ah! And it's like, and I was...
Jason just lost it.
Yeah.
I think he's still losing it over that.
Yeah. It's like...
So anyway, Jack and Desmond.
Yeah, so Jack saves Desmond and then kills himself purposefully.
Yeah, what was Desmond doing?
He was using his electromagnetism powers to make the light go off. Because he had to. And then Jack goes to try to save him, and then he's like, and then they're all like, "Save yourself, Jack," and he's like, "I don't want to." And the water's like dribbling on him, and he has like a bloody face, and he's like, and it's really fun. And I didn't know why you didn't think that was funny.
I didn't think it was as funny as you did.
Because he's, I don't know, like, that's such a random choice. Because he's like...
Yeah, it was very strange.
Yeah. We gotta put that in previously on the list.
Yeah, we're gonna make a video.
We're gonna do
point.
it. We're gonna do it
big,
tomorrow.
At some point, we're gonna try to make a little clip show of like that classic previously on X-Men YouTube video. We want to do one like that for Lost. Yeah. So anyway, so get us to the end of the end.
And then there's and then we go back to Flash Sideways, and it's very convoluted and makes no sense. So basically, everyone remembers the other reality and is all happy and stuff. But
just whenever the story needs them to.
Reason, like,
so like something will set them off where it will remind them of the other reality. But at first I thought it was going to be just Desmond going around doing something that would make like their proximity to Desmond because of his connection to the island in the other universe would give them all their memories back. But doesn't it sometimes happen when he's not even there? When he's like nowhere around?
Right. Yeah.
So what makes it happen? Just the fact that it's the last episode and they need it to happen now?
I don't know. But
so then what is the point of Desmond doing anything?
I don't know. Why does he run over Locke? Why does he try to kill Ben? Like, what?
Because Locke has that thing where he's like, I hope someone does for you what you just did for me. And I'm like, well, that's what Desmond was doing, but apparently we don't need Desmond? I also don't know why Locke was excited about knowing about the horrible life he had versus the much better life he has now.
And then everyone remembers it except for Jack. And then
Which is also really contrived.
Yeah, and then he...
Like, is it supposed to be that Jack is just... Well, this is a question I wanted to ask you, and we're there now. Was it supposed to be that Jack is just in denial and doesn't want to believe it? Where, like, he has several flashes, and he's like, oh, I'm not gonna... Because I don't know how the flashes work. I don't know if it's... You suddenly become a mixture of the... Because you are somewhat of... made up of your memories and your experiences as a person, right? So is it you are now the person that you were plus the memories you had before, or is it you are still totally the person you are now, but you have like these flashes of somebody else's life, sort of? So like it doesn't. Did you see the distinction?
Yeah.
I don't know which it is really, and it seems like it's different for different people. Because with Jin and Sun, when they get theirs back, it's like, oh, we're the Jin and Sun from the island now.
Yeah.
And
we can talk in English.
Thank God we survived through universes, and because they're not married in the other universe, and it's like it's us, and we're the married ones, and we're gonna react as if.
I thought they were married.
I don't think they're, or did they finally get married?
No, they're married. I'm pretty sure.
I didn't think they were.
Then how?
Because remember,
how is she pregnant?
Well, I can't remember if they like decide to get together, but they never get married, so they have a kid out of wedlock. I forget, but remember, she doesn't have his last name. They make a big deal out of that at the beginning of that season when they come off the plane and they're not actually married. Pretty sure I'm right about that, but anyway, it's not important. Go ahead.
Yeah. But anyway, he goes to this church. Everyone's at this church, and he finds his father, and he finally remembers things, and I don't know, like, how is he alive, or how is he there? Like, is everyone dead? Like what?
So let me break down what it seems like is happening, even though I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense. So what I thought was going on was that everybody from the island, because remember, we don't kill off anybody in the Flash Sideways. Everyone is alive. Everybody makes it. Except for characters that we conveniently don't put in, because maybe we can't get the actors back. Like, we never talk about Echo again. It's like he was never in the show. So it's like, he doesn't show back up. But most everybody pops back in, and they're all alive, all of them.
Mm-hmm. And we don't talk about Michael at all in the...
No, that's weird, and he's not at the church, I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't see him.
I didn't see him or Walt. And we gotta talk about Walt because of that weird short they made right after this. Mm-hmm. But selectively, everybody they decide to throw at this church, it's really arbitrary. I don't know why some people are there and some people aren't there. But they bring, the idea seems to initially be, this is what I thought it was going to be. Everybody that died or had a terrible life on the other island, in the other reality, gets a second chance. You know, like the island was a figurative purgatory. Figurative! There are still people who think that they were dead the whole time through the whole show. I still say that's clearly not what was going on. And not just because Lindelof says that. I think if you look at that finale, that is not what's going on. It's just that I don't understand those last 5 minutes. But it's pretty clear that that's not what's happening. So initially the island was supposed to be a purgatory, a figurative one, for all these people who needed redemption because of terrible things they had done to people in their lives. And the only odd man out with that was Hurley, which is the reason that at the end Hurley gets to be the person who runs the island. Mm-hmm. He gets the chocolate factory, essentially. But then with the Flash Sideways, that is everybody's potential redemption. So they all, when they remember who they were in the other reality, that's them crossing over into that other reality, and then now they're like, oh yay, I have a second chance. And I thought that the church was going to be a figurative thing, where that's the symbol of redemption. We're all going to meet in this church, and we're going to have a reunion. And we're going to say, I'm so glad that you are alive in this other reality. And we all get to remember everything that happened, but we get to live real lives after that. And then Christian shows up and ruins all of that. Because that's not confusing. Everybody would have understood what was happening there. Oh, okay. They're all literally them, just like their souls basically jumped universes because of the memory thing, right? Mm-hmm. And the island, electromagnetism, time travel, interdimensional vortexes, yada yada yada, something, they're able to cross into this other universe, and now they get to live on, and we wouldn't question it, right? And that's cool. But they had to make it this really weird metaphysical afterlife purgatory nonsense. It's like once you walk into the church, you are now a non-corporeal dead entity inside of something like the like Celestial Temple in Deep Space Nine, where time has no meaning, where like they go in, and remember, you've got Locke talking to Ben outside the church. We're still in the Flash Sideways reality. They're just talking outside. And then as soon as Christian shows up, it's like it's a different thing than it was. So once they're inside the church, because you have like the big white light outside the door, as if there's nothing beyond that door, but we were just outside. It's in the Flash Sideways. I don't understand. Christian's speech ruins the entire finale. And if only that wasn't there, it'd be fine. I mean, there's still a bunch of mysteries that don't make sense, and all the stuff with the light and the smoke monster and all of that is kind of dumb at the end of the day. I thought we were watching at one point a time travel, or excuse me, a science fiction show, and then it turns into a really loose fantasy show. I don't like that. But at least the ending would have made some kind of sense, and it would have been more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I would have appreciated it more. I would have accepted it more.
Yeah. And then
would have been satisfying.
And then, and then he's walking through the forest in the real time, and then he falls down, and he closes his eyes. And
yeah.
Then,
yeah.
And then do and then
that's it. So, yeah, everybody. So there are a lot of people who hate the finale because they think that speech at the end means that it was what fans thought from the beginning it was, that Lindelof and other producers denied, which is they were dead the whole time. The island is like a hell or a purgatory that they're in, and they were dead all along. That's not what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm. That's not what's going on.
When Christian says this, like people die at different times, and time has no meaning here, and so he's basically because he says, there is no now. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He's basically saying everyone that is in this church died at some point, and this is where you all converge. He says this is the place you made for yourselves. I don't see how anybody can take that to mean they were dead the whole time. Like, they're not on the island. He's not saying the island is the place they made for them. He's saying the church is. It still doesn't make sense, but it doesn't mean that everything that happened in the show didn't happen. Everything that happened. Mm-hmm. Which, with the time travel thing, with that whole statement, they also had their cake and eat it too real hard. But we didn't get into that, but that's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that adds to another ending of a season of Lost. Because, in the first season, they're looking down the hatch. And then in the second season, I don't remember what happens in the second season.
Well, it was, it was the destruction of the hatch, but I forget what the image was we were left on.
I think it was I Was Wrong. It might have been.
I forget. I'm not sure what you're getting at here.
Yeah, I'm just going through all the endings of the seasons.
Okay.
And then I remember season 3 is the
we gotta go back.
Boat.
No.
We gotta go back, and then
yeah,
that's season 4.
Yeah.
And then season 5 is the and then Juliet going. And then season 6 is.
Yeah. Yep. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So you're as confused as I am.
Yep.
About what exactly? But are you with me? Where it's like I know what the church is until Christian shows up.
Yeah.
Because remember, in the Flash Sideways, Christian dies.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't be talking about the Flash Sideways reality. Like, the church is a different thing from that reality.
Even though it's in that reality, kind of.
It's like when they walked into it, they wound up there. I don't get it. Like, what happens to all the people in that reality, then?
Can they leave?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And I know people have been trying to figure this out for 10 years. And some people think they know they understand it, and some people think it's impossible to understand. But I just think it's such a missed opportunity because it was really clear what it was for a minute. And then they ruined it with the Christian thing. Mm. And that just screams we need to see that actor one more time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a short that they made to try to wrap up loose ends that they felt. It seems to me like the whole idea. It's called the new man in charge, and it's trying to tie up loose ends that they didn't bring up in the finale, as if it'll fix all the problems that fans have with it. And I just feel like they're missing the point. Like they're missing the forest for the trees. They're like, we have to address the big stuff that everybody's complaining about. Like, why were there polar bears? And why was Walt special? And none of that is especially satisfying anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that whole thing is odd. You can go on YouTube and watch it. There's some fun acting in it. Ben's in it. Hurley's in it at the end. Walt's in it.
The guy making
the videos. We get one more video from him.
Mm-hmm. He's in it. Two guys that we don't know who they are in it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of fun. Where they're still packing things for the Dharma Initiative that's been gone for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a weird, almost parody component to that, where they're almost making fun of them. They're clearly like done making that show, and I'm not sure they should have done that. It also doesn't really give me anything that I needed or that's helpful. Like that show kept doing. It kind of gives us new questions before it answers anything. Where it's like, Walt is special. We need to bring him to the island to live there now, and we have a job for him. Why is he special? What's his job? What's like?
Yeah.
Well, Jason looks like he's getting kind of tired, so I think we should probably close up shop. Anything else you want to make sure that we mention, Jason?
I don't think so.
There was some time travel nonsense that we could have covered, but
yeah,
we talked about some of that in previous videos, and we've gone on long enough, I think.
Yeah, this was longer than a regular video.
Yeah,
right?
but it was, but I think we can post it as one, and it was, yeah. But we were talking about two whole seasons, so
yeah.
Overall, let me ask you two questions. Overall, how disappointed are you with this as an experience? Because you really didn't like the ending.
Yeah,
but
so,
like, are you glad you saw the show? Would you watch the show again? Would you watch it up to a point and stop? Like,
yeah, I would probably watch it. I would probably watch first 5 seasons and then stop.
So some of those, like, mysteries not paying off, and some characters you used to like that you're not liking anymore. It's not enough to like destroy the whole experience.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, I'll watch season 6 again. It's just I don't like it as much because of that ending. Because it makes no sense, and it makes season 6 make no sense.
And feel like a waste of time, a lot of it.
Yeah.
How do you rank the seasons now?
So I ranked it in my head, but I forgot to write it down. So, my favorite season is season 5. And then after it is season 2. And then after that is probably season 1. And then probably like season 6 or season 3.
So your least favorite is 4?
Yeah. It's probably 6 and then 3 and then 4.
4 is a little bit too much of a holding pattern,
yeah.
Honestly. Like, everybody talks about how stretched out 3 is. 4 also has that problem.
Yeah.
And you liked 3 more than anybody I've ever talked to.
Yeah.
That cage stuff did not bore you like it did everybody else. It wasn't as bad as I remembered it, to be frank, but...
To be Frank Lapidus?
To be Frank Lapidus! Okay, so then my last question is, what big, and I'm putting you on the spot, so if you can't think of more than a couple, it's totally cool, but pick, I don't know, 2 or 3, like, big mysteries or big things for you that that weren't satisfying when you finally found out either what the answer was or because you never got an answer.
For like the whole show.
For the whole show.
Okay.
Yeah, go all the way back. Here's the thing, because this was a lot of the show for people. And again, it got too plotty later, where they acted like it was all about paying off the mysteries, and everything's going to come full circle, and it's all going to come together and make sense, and then
it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't. Yeah. But as you're going along, some of what you can't wait, some of the thing that keeps you coming back is you can't wait to find out why this is here and why this is here, and there's all these like weird images and things like, I don't know what this is about, I can't wait to find out. What were those for you? And how did it handle them?
Well, I was pretty excited to figure out like what Jacob was and what the smoke monster was, and like if my theory was true, and it was.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But
were you as disappointed as I was about the light?
Yeah.
Like when it comes to the Jacob stuff, where it's like, really, that's it? It's a light?
Yeah, I was disappointed in like that's what Jacob has to do, really.
Yeah.
And then I hate the Jack tattoo episode.
Oh, I know, me too.
I hate.
Well, was that a thing you were curious about? Like, where did Jack's tattoos come from?
Yeah, kind of. Like.
Oh no, it's the worst, man. It's terrible.
Cause, like, I was thinking like maybe there was like something like what does that writing mean? Because I don't know Japanese or Chinese or Korean or whatever that is.
I think it was Chinese, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was.
But I didn't know like what the 5 was and all that.
So the big one I thought you'd probably bring up is the numbers. The numbers.
Yeah.
Like,
what are they?
What was that?
Why do we stop using them everywhere? Like, there's like not any mention of them in
Well,
six.
Well, there is. I mean, we don't talk about them, but we're still using them. They treat it almost like it's supposed to be enough of an answer that the names on the cave wall are associated with the numbers. Which doesn't tell me anything. It's like you just arbitrarily keep using those numbers for different things. Okay, like, the best I can come up with is the show is a constant battle back and forth between predestination and free will. And the fact that the same numbers keep coming up significantly for mostly, like, negative and scary things means that, like, the powers that be, you know, God or fate or whatever, really does have a plan. And, like, if you if you deviate from it or something, maybe, you're punished and the numbers are connected to that or something. I don't know. But they clearly didn't have a plan for that. Mm-hmm. Like with so many things.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So, yeah. We talked about a lot in this video.
Yeah, we got a lot knocked out. There's definitely some stuff that we could have talked about. One thing I meant to mention earlier real quick is I remembered there being more of a thing between... Maybe I just thought this was where it was going on first viewing and it didn't go there. I thought there was going to be like a big war between Sun's father, Paik, and Widmore. I thought it was going to be like a big battle between the big corporate tycoons, like for the island or something. And they didn't go there. And I can't remember what it was that made me think that they might do that. But there was nothing with that. I thought there was going to be a big thing between them, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I thought that. Maybe for some reason at one time that's just what I wanted them to do, and they never did that. But yeah. But anyway. Well, I think that's going to do it for us.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Thanks for watching that whole show with me, Jason. It was fun.
Yeah.
That was our mornings for several months. We're going to start doing it with another show. I don't know if you want to announce it yet or if you want to keep it as a surprise. And the next thing that we do it with will take significantly less time.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because there's... I don't remember how many seasons it has.
Do you want to go ahead and announce it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So, we're going to be doing Firefly.
Mm-hmm. And Serenity.
And Serenity.
And I don't know if we'll do Firefly and Serenity as one video or if we'll do a separate video on Serenity. We may do that. We may do 2 videos on it.
Yeah.
Because Serenity is like a season and a half or 2 seasons condensed down into a 2-hour film. So there's going to be a lot to talk about with that.
Yeah. But Firefly has like 1 season, right?
13 episodes.
Oh, wow, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to take us like a month.
It'll take us a week and a half to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the next thing we're going to do, so look forward to that. And anyway, thanks a lot for watching. We will see you again next time on Father and Son. I was Captain Logan.
And I was Jason.
And we were father.
We were son.
Later. You can't ad-lib like that. You can't go off book. It just gets weird.
Yeah.